Namaste and welcome back to Waking Up with Mindful Surrender Yoga and Nancy. Today we're going to continue our exercise in answering a question within a 10-minute time frame. And I often catch myself wondering why I'm doing this, why I'm blogging what I blog on my blog, Waking Up in a Busy World, and why I come here to expose myself on this forum when what I have to say is not possibly socially accepted by many people. Why am I exposing myself to the potential for criticism and rejection? Myself, my little ego self. And, I still have an ego, so sometimes I still get concerned about what people may think, and I catch myself. I'm trying to get past that, and I'm doing a wonderful job getting past that, obviously, because I'm here rambling on about things that not a lot of people are interested in hearing about these days. But the reason why I do this is because I am compelled, and I really, really do not understand that compulsion, other than maybe on a theoretical level. I can say that I'm a learner and I love to learn, and I've been studying and practicing yoga for 25 some years. I've been, delving into all the Eastern wisdoms and finding great fascination with those ancient texts, as well as the new teachers that are coming out here purporting what was taught centuries ago by ancient rishis and yogis and, the Vedanta and whatsoever, the Buddhist teachings, the sutras. So much that I've been reading and grasping for, as well as the poetry and the philosophy and psychology. Well, psychology is something I kind of have, obviously, have a fascination in the human mind. And science, quantum mechanics and quantum physics, it's like, wow, they're really getting to what the rishis discovered many, many centuries ago when they were secluded in a cave in the Himalayan mountains, meditating for days on end. There is a truth that goes beyond matter. There is a truth that goes beyond materialism. There is a truth that goes beyond what we can pick up with our five senses. There is something within us that we do not completely understand that is actually allowing the light to shine through us, in a sense, that is making our lungs breathe and making our hearts beat. And though there is a physical mechanism to all that, there is something that is greater. And I've always known that ever since I was a little girl, I suppose. Had this sense that there was more when I looked at nature and looked at animals and looked at, the sun. And I just had this knowing somehow, if that's not too woo-woo of a way to describe it, that there was something more. And I guess without knowing it, my sense of unhappiness and unease I experienced most of my life had something to do with the external circumstances I encountered, for sure, but it had more to do with this not touching that which I knew was there, and not fully understanding it. And so that led me on my path in yoga and my path to understanding more. And so I learn and learn and learn, and thusly I am here because I do truly believe that learning and teaching go hand in hand. What we learn, we need to share, and what we share, we need to learn. And that's what I'm here to do, share what I'm learning, and hope that not only does it benefit me by assimilating all that I'm learning and making it a part of who I am rather than what I think I know, it will also benefit others who are on the same path. And I'm sure there's many others on the same path, even though this blog may hit more people who aren't, if it hits anybody, than not. So I'm not asking to be exposed here. I'm not asking for fame or notoriety, though I still have an ego that will check the stat sites. Yes, I will check to see how many read and the odd time how many people comment. Not that I do it very often, but I will check on occasion. And I do have comments there, people who are wanting me to help me promote these blogs, make them more out there, or whatever. And it's not my intention to do that. So I come here in my imperfect form. I come here and just answer a question off the top of my head. And I am not doing it so that you like me, no offense. I'm doing it so that this compulsion I have inside me is somehow soothed. I'm doing what I feel like I have no choice but to do, if that makes any sense to anybody on this earth. It doesn't make too much sense to me right now, but That is the way it is. Anyway, I digress. I talked for a full 5 minutes on that, and I apologize. Let's get to the question in the jar. I'm going to reach in. I'm reaching in now to grab a question, and I have one. And I'm going to, first of all, read it so I can make a sense of what it says. Does acceptance mean not doing anything? That was the question, and that's kind of applicable for what I wrote about today in my blog. I am going to set my timer for 10 minutes because I do try to stay within the 10 minutes, so the last few videos went way over. You take a deep breath and exhaling. And that breath just allows us to be reconnected to that higher part of ourselves. So the ego is not, that tends to want to answer all the questions, is not actually the one answering. And the question again was, does acceptance mean not doing anything? Does acceptance mean not doing anything? So let's look at acceptance, first of all. What do we mean by acceptance? And acceptance is talking about our approach to life. Basically, it is allowing life to be life. And that means allowing all the circumstances that are unfolding in front of us to come into our experience. Not only our outer experience, but our inner experience. Be experienced fully and then be released. All experience, I truly believe, is meant to come through us. Most external experience that we are encountering is very temporary. Whatever will come in will last for a little bit and then it will be gone regardless. So if you're suffering and you're in misery or you're in physical pain, that is only temporary. It will not last forever. It will always ebb and flow, like all things in life. Same with joy and same with the pleasant things in life. They will come into our experience, they will last a bit, and they will go. The people we love all have a finite number of years on this planet. They have a finite number of years or months or weeks with us in our experience before some other variable pulls them away, possibly. We have the things we own will rust and decay and melt away eventually. The time will come and go, because time again is just a mental construct. But who we really are at the deepest level is eternal, is never changing. But until we realize that, we're just going to see this ebb and flow of life, things coming in, hitting us, leaving us, pleasant things coming in, grasping for them, wanting to keep them inside, wanting to push the unpleasant away. And every time we push away, I can't stress enough, we build up some scaras. We use our suppression and repression hands to push everything down below conscious awareness. And we're actually storing those things. Not only do we store the pleasant, we store mostly the negative experience we didn't have or felt we didn't have the capability of handling or coping with at the time they arrived in our lives. So we have all this stuff stored inside us, and now we are approaching life, and life is doing what life does for 1,000 different million reasons that have nothing to do with this little speck of dust that we are, that happens to breathe, happens to think, happens to feel, happens to move, happens to act. This, what life is doing, is all about life and not so much about us. Yet we tend, because we're grasping and clinging from this little slice of life we've been given to experience, or pushing away or resisting what is, we come to think that life is here to serve us. And if it doesn't serve us, doesn't make us feel good inside, we tend to resist it. All life, however, is just the experience. We are here like portals, allowing life to experience itself, allowing God, if you want to use that term, to experience humanity through us, through the 8 billion of us. And we're just one small portal of many for that experience to come through. Now, when we block that experience, when we say, no, I don't like that, I don't want that in my life, that is bad, wrong, shouldn't be, I am not going to deal with that, I can't deal with that, and we push it away, which means pushing it down, we are resisting rather than accepting life. We're not allowing life to do what life does. We're not allowing life to enter us, be experienced, and then leave. What we're doing instead is holding on to it and avoiding it in a sense through our repression and suppression, so we don't have to deal with it. But life will keep triggering, because life wants that out there. This stuff is just meant to come in and out, so it will always have that tendency to want to do so. So life will come and say we were rejected when we were children, or beat up in the playground by a bully, and then we find ourselves with someone that looks like that bully or has that name, or we're wondering if it is that bully all grown up, and we find ourselves reacting in fear and the same way we felt then, worthless and embarrassed and blaming and angry. All those types of things come back up to the surface. What we store in pain tends to come back up with pain. So here we are experiencing the counter with this individual that showed up in our lives, as well as this reemergence of samskaras. So we may have a double whammy resistance effect. We may say, no, I'm not going to deal with that person. We're close to them. We're rude. We're whatever. And we push back down, closing here. We close our hearts. We close our life, our beings to that life experience. That is not acceptance. That is resistance. And resistance, when we resist something in life, we're resisting life in general. This wonderful opportunity we have to live, to be a part of this, to participate in this wonderful dance with all its actors and scene changes and whatnot that we are given here to experience on this amazing planet we call Earth. Yet, the more we resist, the less we live. And we do have a tendency as human beings to resist pain. So not many of us are actually living in this moment, experiencing and appreciating and allowing and respecting and honoring life and allowing life to do what it does. We are not accepting. We are resisting. Now, there's some things that come in life that are very hard to deal with. There's no doubt about it. We lose someone we love to death. That's a hard thing to deal with. So we may resist that. We may resist through a variety of different defense mechanisms, but repression and expression being some of them. And when we resist that grief, we're also resisting that love we've had with the people that we had the wonderful experience of loving during our lifetimes. Yet it is a human tendency. And when we say we accept, I gotta make it clear, it doesn't mean that we do not act, that we do not participate in life, that we do not make choices, that we do not do what needs to be done. We just do so instead of reactivity based on resistance and fear. We act out of that higher part of ourselves. So when we're dealing with grief, for example, there's no doubt about it, it's going to be painful. The best thing we can do at that point is to step back, wider perspective, as hard as it is, because our grief seems to be the only thing we can experience. We can't think of other people around us. It becomes very, very personalized. But if we can step back and see that so many people lose people, that it is a part of this experience called life, because life, the human life, in body and form, is impermanent, like most things in life. No one's going to live forever. So it is a part of this experience of being human. And if we can look back and just see that a little clearer before we actually have to experience the grief and have that in our perspective beforehand, then dealing with grief when it actually happens is a lot easier. Let's take physical pain, another thing in our experience that many humans have to encounter. And when we have pain, our first thing is, oh no, I don't want this pain, and we cringe and we curl up and we tense up the body, making the physical pain experience even worse than it has to be. We seek relief outside ourselves through medications and doctors and whatnot, because this pain is something we say we should not experience in life. We try to resist it instead of accepting it. I can tell you from my own personal experience with physical pain that the best thing I've ever learned to do was accept pain by saying it's just pain. All pain comes in like a wave and will go out like a wave. Lama's class, when women are having childbirth, is all about that. That's the basis of the program that they use, is to encourage women to observe their pain as if it was a wave that will come and go, reminding them that it will not last. Every contraction will not last. It will come, it will go, and the thing you get at the end of it is this amazing new human being. Well, that's the same with us when we have physical pain. We need to remember that every experience, be it physical or emotional pain, has the ability to give us something greater at the end of it. It's a challenge. The mud, for example, helps the lotus, the beautiful lotus flower, to grow. Without the mud, the lotus wouldn't grow. Without our suffering, our transcendence wouldn't be our ability to become that which we actually are would not take place. We would still be too attached to me. So any pain experience, be it physical or mental, can be looked at as something that's going to come and something's going to go. And we accept it, allow it, embrace it, honor it. And when our samskaras come up because of these triggers, be triggered from physical pain or triggered from something that's happening in our life event, and they come up, and they're going to come up with pain because they were stored in pain, and we're dealing with this outside conflict, and we're dealing with this. Allowing our samskaras to come up, seeing them, whatever they're going to bring up with them, is very important. You say, okay, instead of resisting and trying to push them back down, okay, I'm going to allow this to be. I'm going to allow this to come up. I'm going to allow myself to experience this because I know at the end I'm going to get closer to being purified. I'm going to get these samskaras out of me, so the Shakti flow, the Satchidananda, who I am, is going to be able to rise to the surface, and I'm not going to be disturbed by every trigger I get out there that comes my way from life. So that is a wonderful way of accepting pain, accepting the unpleasant things in life, because that unpleasant rebirthing is going to lead to a birth of another you, a greater you, and a better you. So accepting and allowing then is definitely something very valuable that we need to learn to do as human beings. Now, if you're in a physically abusive situation, and I know in my video I used this example, just came out, about being in an abusive situation, that when we say we're accepting, that doesn't mean we're allowing the other person to, pummel on us or to physically hurt us. We have an obligation to protect the body. We have an obligation to protect our human psyches as much as they're here, because there is some value to them for a short period of time. We're not allowing other people to attack us or abuse us. That's not what acceptance is all about. Acceptance simply means accepting reality for what it is. This is happening. I can't change it, or it already happened and I can't change it. And this is what I can do for it. Like the Serenity Prayer. I'm going to accept the things I cannot change and change the things I can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. So that is really what it's all about, right? So when we act in acceptance, we're acting in from the higher self. We're acting from a great deal of clarity that comes from acceptance. Resistance diminishes our clarity. It creates a veil over who we are. It makes everything dark. We can't see clearly what's going on. But when we're accepting, that veil lifts it. We're accepting life. We're seeing it. We're seeing reality. We're allowing reality to be what reality is. And then we're called to act. I used to teach nursing, practical nurses, and I remember one of the lessons I came up with that I taught them all the time because I thought was so important, because when they're dealing with crisis, of course, in nursing, you're always dealing with emergency situations that can come on unexpectedly. The worst thing you can do is run in panicking to help somebody. You need some clarity. You need a moment of distance between you and what's happening. So I taught them the three B's. The three B's start with breathe. First of all, let's take a step back. Breathe, take a breath, and then begin again. Taking a step back creates distance between you and the situation. You're saying, well, this is an emergency situation. I have to act right away. So the worst thing you do is run in and act until you're clear. So take that second to step back. Evaluate the situation. See there's distance between you and it, so you're not overly attached to it. Then breathe. That breath settles you. It settles the nervous system, brings you back down into clarity so you can see clearly, you can react clearly, and then from there you move on to begin again. Well, that's all I have to say for now. I have to go. Thank you so much for giving me for ending in a